Alrighty, we are live. So, hello, my name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to a little live drum carving session because it's a lot of fun to do this. And maybe what would it be? One of the options would have been to have what did it? One of the options could have been to do this on Instagram instead, because more likely to get live viewers then. But whatever. So, what would it be? Just aren't as many people hanging out on YouTube, right? So, we have our aesthetic computer screen that used to be on this table. And the colors are a little bit blown out for this purple, but maybe my webcam just can't capture it either. So I've done like a little bit of pre-gaming here. And so I have 4 ounces of this fiber optic Pulver Silk 80-20 blend in the tapestry color. And then I have 6 ounces of this 50-50 Merino Alpaca blend in, I think the colorway is Scandal. And that's from Black Bunny Fiber. So, we've got our Black Bunny Fibers. Hopefully that isn't backwards. And then fiber optic. Hey, not too bad. So, what I'm going to do is split this fiber up. Or would it be? So 6 ounces of that, 4 ounces of that adds up to 10. And when I'm making carded sliver, what I like to do is to have sort of 1 ounce bats as I'm making it. So this will make various nests and it'll be exciting and fun. So that is the story there. This is, or would it be, there's a certain, like what I find entertaining about the alpaca one is that there definitely is like a little bit of like hairiness to this, which is entertaining. So, and what I've already done is sat down and divided it into 10 equal sections by basically just folding it until I got the right amount. And so my ends are a little long on the alpaca, but they're sort of diffuse. The ends on here maybe aren't as small. That might change the ratio slightly. But my intention is to break this into both of these into 10 sections, probably split them in half and then mix them up a little bit. The fiber optic was dyed in 12 sections. So there are sections that have more gold and sections that have more navy in here. And so I want to make sure that I have at least decent color balance in there. And I'll probably end up splitting the alpaca too. And so when I'm making the bat, I'm going to do a layer of the merino alpaca, a layer of the pulver silk, and then another layer from there. And so that's going to end up creating something which has all of these colors together. So this is more of a blue leaning purple, which we're not surprised by. It's actually probably the pink in this probably just isn't even showing. And then this appears to be showing up sort of true to color on the camera. So not too crazy. Here would it be? And then I haven't had second coffee yet because I haven't podcast yet. Normally this is an activity I do in the afternoon. So I think for this particular live stream, what I'm going to do, I'm trying to figure out like the right place to take a photo. That's better. Like the Merino alpaca is just looking so lurid on my phone. It's sort of hilarious. Whereas it would be like it's whatever. The jewel is strong in both of these. Or would it be? But the primary impression is purple, but there is a decent amount of blue in both of them. This was a prize that I ended up getting in a past Spin the Bin from the Completely Twisted Arbitrary group. And this guy was actually something that my mother-in-law sent me. Would it be because we both love fiber optic. So I'm going to break. Oh my gosh. That did not go down easy. So I'm going to break this into sections. I didn't do any pre-fluffing, so I'm wondering if that was a mistake. Or maybe it's a good thing that I'm drum carding this. As you do. Like, this has taken a lot of muscle. I hope the fiber optic isn't as hard as this. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get when I'm pulling it, I basically am going to where the bend in the fiber is, trying to get fairly far away from the bend and then pulling. And I'm trying to be, the middle should be symmetrically where I'm at. And then after I make all of these sections, I may end up, when I split them in half, also mixing them up as well. So I should have all of these different, I don't even know how much weight would be in each one. It's different. Okay, I'm really glad that I'm drum carding this. Because it is not going nicely. I was not expecting this to be this hard. Okay. Yeah, so this is one that has like way more blue in it, so I may opt to put that with a more purpley one. Okay. I really hope this other one isn't as hard. It's like I definitely have like enough distance between these. Yeah, I'm a little worried that this is felted. Because, yeah. Like when I'm oh, maybe a little longer than its brother. Okay. Open this up. see if that helps. All right, I feel very just my life to show these shoes. Okay, so we got all these. One of those is a bit longer than the other one, but whatever. We'll see how bad the fiber optic is, but oh, yeah. I think this guy was felted. Because, yeah, you can see how much easier this is. So it's probably worth noting that like it was a new to me dyer, and so it's quite possible that the prep for fiber wasn't as good. It's definitely like a trust thing in like the spinning community, right? So that was so much easier. So now that I've gotten this broken up into the 10 equal pieces, I'm going to open this up a little bit. Oh my goodness. With the thought process being that if I want to split it in half, I want it to be sort of reasonably open before doing that. And then there are an awful lot of like really gorgeous sunset colors in this one. So I'm excited about that. I don't know. It might be backlit in a way that isn't going to make for the best color. It's a very gloomy, foggy day in this part of San Francisco, so the natural light is in maybe somewhat short supply. But where would it be? So I'm really glad that I've decided to drum card the merino alpaca, because that would have been a nightmare to spin. Oh my goodness. So but this polar silk is going to be a dream to spin no matter what. So why am I blending these together? So part of the thought process behind blending these bad boys together is that for the types of projects I like to knit, 4 ounces is not enough. Is not like enough total fiber. So if I blend them together, then I can take things which normally wouldn't go, or would it be? So it would be the case where the properties of the polar silk are going to be very different than the properties of the merino alpaca. So if I want, or would it be, it wouldn't be the case where I could spin these separately and ply them, because it would end up being a very different yarn. And the fact that I have more of the merino alpaca than I do I have more merino alpaca than I do polar silk. So it would end up being sort of uneven. Okay. So we got those all fluffed. Now, man. So, it'd be the case where combs are a way that you can combine alike things, and cards are a way that you can combine dissimilar things. So because these guys are dissimilar, would it be? Carding is going to be a good option for synthesizing them together, because you can take things of different lengths and actually put them together. Whereas combs will sort by length, basically. So as you pull it off, your longest fibers will come together or come off together, and then it will get increasingly short as you go along. So not too crazy. What would it be? So what's cool about this merino alpaca is that there is a little bit of white in here. So that's going to add a lot of dimension to the carded fiber. Who would it be? So the fiber optic, as per usual, their dyeing style is mega saturated. So it should be fun to have this end up adding like light and dark to that. Okay. And I don't know if it would have been a wise move to have done this opening step before deciding to split, because this sort of gives me like an opportunity to get everything light and fluffy. It's also sort of interesting how different sides of this glom together. So with the fiber optic, everything just sort of folded inward, so I only needed to work it open from one side. But the merino alpaca one was a little bit more like an accordion. Yes, that's the best way to describe. So, what would it be? So we shall see how things come together. I do think that all of these colors are fairly compatible with each other. I will probably end up pulling in such a way where I get longer runs of a particular color, if that makes sense. So it'll be the case where as I'm laying it onto the drum card, I'll try to get light colors on top of each other, so that there's at least like a little bit more of it in each one. And then I'm very quickly going to run out of room on this table for everything that I'm putting down. But such is life. So it certainly is helping this guy that I am proofing it open, though, which is good. But It's definitely taking a little bit more time to get this going. And it doesn't help that I have like a snag on my pointer finger. So it's the finger trying to do all of the work and it's catching on all of the fiber. Okay. 4 more. So let's see what else. I am preparing this for, I don't know. Normally speaking, I think the intent was for this to be a part of Tour de Fleece. The Tour de Fleece is still like a pretty long time from now. So part of the challenge that I'm facing right now is that probably sometime today I will be done with my Completely Twisted and Arbitrary Spin the Pin. So that was roughly 24 ounces of fiber that I that I gathered together to spin in late December, early January. Okay. It was just going to be a little chaotic. And so my theme for the year was to take some fiber amounts that weren't even like listed in my stash and actually spin them up into yarn. So it was a lot of like samples from the Clemis and Clemis drum carding classes. What would it be? Yeah, it was mostly samples from Clemis and Clemis drum carding classes. And then I also included a intentional spin project. So I included some Jacob that I wanted to turn into a hat, which I think conveniently fed nicely into like the Fluff to Stuff challenge, for which I was doing an intentional spin where I intended to hit a weight and a color and all of that fun stuff. But apparently I hadn't been daydreaming very much about what I wanted to do next after I finished all of that. So I finished spinning the singles for the last spin yesterday morning as a part of the Knit Girl Stash Dash. But I realized that I was without plan. And that seemed to be a very strange place for me. That isn't, what would it be? Like, there's all sorts of wonderful potential in the stash, for sure. But I hadn't actually decided what that was going to be yet. Oh well. So what I ended up doing was pulling out all of the stash, laying it out on the guest bed in this room. This is also, what would it be? This is my combined craft and guest room right now. And sort of looked at everything that I had and tried to figure out, did anything go together that would make a bigger project? Like, what sort of potential did I have brewing in the stash? And so after like pulling everything out and looking at it, I left some contenders, I took some pictures, as you do. And then went from there. So everything's opened up now. This one looks a little scraggly, but whatever. And so what I'm going to do now is split it in half. And then I'm going to start placing these perpendicular to the other ones. And so what I should have after I split everything in half is the 1 ounce sections of my hopes and dreams. Or I'll be able to assemble the 1 ounce portions that I'll be putting on the drum carder. I would say that this is something that, I don't know, I don't hear as many people talk about it. But when you're playing around with the drum carder, like you really do want to know how much you're putting on. Because it's sort of, would it be? It is an important variable. It is an important variable. And like how everything's coming together and all of that fun stuff. Because how much weight is on will change like what tool I use to take it off. It lets me know that as I'm putting stuff on, that I am not going, like I'm not trying to put too much stuff on, basically. I don't know, it's definitely a much more quantitative process than wild freewheeling creativity. So splitting in half seemed to go pretty smooth. So what I do know is I don't want these two to go together as a pair. But they're both pretty balanced color-wise. So I may just have these all be neighbors until I decide how I'm appropriately mixing these colors up. Because I do want each bat to have all of the colors in it. I did recently finish a spin where I separated the bats, or I spun the bats in the order of what color they primarily were. And then created a gradient of sorts with it. But I don't think that is what I want to do with this project. I sort of want the look to be overall similar, but that would be like a type of planning one could use when setting these up. And it may be the case for what I decide to do here is there definitely it might be the case where I take the extremes and put them together. So this guy is mostly orange on it, so I might combine that with one that's mostly navy. Just to get the appropriate mix of colors here. So then I will have all of the colors in this pile of fiber. And then to mix it up, I'll take one of these and make this into a nest. I'm going to very quickly run out of space. So what would it be? So I can see these guys and these guys also make a good one. And then I can look at the remaining fiber and then decide which ones are more extreme. Like these guys have like a pretty good balance of everything. So that's exciting. They're a little bit less lopsided than some. So what would it be? I think this one lacks purples. So we'll make that into a set. And then I think these guys are pretty balanced. Okay. Most of these aren't doing too bad. This guy, I like a little bit more of the blues. Oh, I should mix it up a little bit more. Okay. All right. So I have now separated all of these into groups. So I have a little bit of orange and navy and purple and maroon in each one of the sets. Because that is the color that I wish to create. Unfortunately, that isn't. Okay, we haven't gone totally wackadoodle. So I know that I have sections of these which are more blue and sections of these that are more purple. So what I'm trying to do right now is find the purple ones and set them aside. Though there might actually be more purple ones than straight up blue ones. Yeah, they're definitely more purpley ones than, or whatever. So they sort of have like a more of a pinky purple, but my webcam does not like that color. So okay. So what I'm going to do is try to distribute the ones that are more blue evenly, and then I'll sort through the pile again to find 3 more ones that are more blue than purple. Or actually, not that many more. I'm just looking for 2 more that are. Okay, I'm just looking for 2 more that are more blue. Among all of these, this one is mostly, it might be the case where I put in one that has less pink. And now that I've sort of sorted this from one pile to another several times, we'll just go with this one. Can't be perfect. So now I should have 10 pieces of this merino alpaca, which has a little bit more of the pinks in it. And the key here should be reasonable balance between all of the colors present. That is my hope. And everything is now nice and fluffy and opened up. So now what I have will be something that, roughly speaking, creates something like this. So when it's spun, it will have layers of all of these. And every draft will have a little bit of every color present. Supposedly. Now we take a moment and take another photo for the Instagram. As you do. And now I need to move some of this out of the way because there's just way too much stuff for me to be able to rotate my drum carder in order to get started using it. And then there's probably a certain amount of shifting and stuff I need to do before I'm really ready. And probably what I'll end up doing, because I'm not quite sure how the merino alpaca card, is to start with the Polworth silk, because I know that should be an easy one. Maybe I'll end up taking a better photo where all the light is. As you do. Because I could have probably turned on the light. But then I would have had to plug in the light. Okay. Oh my goodness, that's so much better light. So, I don't know. This is like the blind leading the blind sort of situation, right? Do I show a webcam a photo that has the right colors in it, but it can't capture said colors anyways? So what I'm doing is I store all of my tools under we'll need this, and we'll need this, at least to start. We'll need that. I may need to pull out more later. Okay. And then what we want to do here, let's get this a little bit closer. That looks pretty good, right? Okay. And I think for now, I'm just going to do the 1-ounce section. But it would be, see, this may need to shift slightly over. Okay, there we go. We can see the fiber as well as the drum. So not too crazy. So there will be a certain amount of noise when I turn the drum carder on, but hopefully that won't be too loud. What I'm going to do is start with this more orangey piece, build up a nice base, and then add in a layer of alpaca, move on to this more blue piece, and then add another layer of merino alpaca. And what I'm going to do is just straight up pull from the end. So this is going to build up color from one end to the other end. I'm not going to try to do lots of color mixing here at the drum carder stage. All that color mixing is going to happen at the spinning stage. So should be good. Or would it be? And yeah, because there is the distinct danger when you have like orange and purple that you will get something like a little bit more muddy. And so I want to have one of a color very concentrated as I do this. So peppers on, things are rolling, and now we can go to town. I'm always really good about cleaning the drum carder when I'm done using it, so that there isn't any transfer of fiber from one bat to the next. And then what I end up doing is I follow a pattern of putting some on the edge, both of the edges, to make sure they get filled up. And then one in the center. And so what I'm trying to do is evenly coat the drum carder with this fiber. So this fiber optic was 4 ounces divided 10 ways. So I have, and then divided in half again. So what would it be? So I have like 0.2 ounces of fiber in my hand. And now we're beginning to get a little bit purple. The purple is 6 ounces divided 20 ways. So it will be a little bit more. So like 50, that would end up being 50% more, so it's about 0.3 ounces of this. And thankfully, with all of that fluffing and tearing, this merino alpaca is pulling nicely as fiber mix right now, so that's good. Just needed a little bit of a cleanup. And when you think about the math, 0.2 and 0.3 makes a lot of sense, so I think we're doing good. The staple length on this appears to be much shorter than the Fuller silk. And I guess I started with the more blue piece of this instead of the more purple. Packing. So not too crazy. It's definitely like a little bit more flyaway with the merino alpaca. I might need to pack more regularly with this because it doesn't want to catch on the drum carder as much. Okay. There's definitely some fluff flying in the room, guys. I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out. I'm not maybe seeing as much white as I was maybe hoping for, but whatever. Maybe that'll come out in the spinning instead of the carding. That's more frosty. It may just be that it doesn't make a strong impression. The Rio Alpaca has much shorter runs of color in it. So my end-to-end plan is probably higher impact with the Cobra silk than it is the Rio Alpaca. We should see. Another section done. Then we're gonna get a nice long dark section in here. That is pretty how it's coming on. I'm trying to think of what else to chat about. So, the intent of this is to get like a pretty big shawl quantity of yarn. 10 ounces may be a little. It might be a lot. Considering I'm doing a pretty schlankety project right now. Maybe not. I don't know. That one might actually turn out to be closer to like 600 than 400 when I'm done with it. And so since the majority of this piece actually was like the blurply blue navy color, it's just going to be like a really light coating of the orangey color. Okay. Now we're on to our last piece of this. Back to the Merino Alpaca. Final round. It's very soft and fluffy. And so what's going on now with the drum carder, since it may not be easy to see, is that this more pinky purple, this lighter pastel color sort of covering up the more sunsetty shades from the fullness. And just when you're switching colors, it's a lot easier to tell where you have more or less fiber being applied because you're sort of covering up one color with the other. You're also trying to keep an eye to make sure everything gets worked in here. I was a little bit worried earlier on because there seemed to be places where fiber wasn't going nicely under the drum carder, and that was going to make it a pain for me later when I pull off the sliver. It looks like it's okay now. There's definitely, I think, a little bit more staticky going on with the alpaca merino as well. Now what I'm going to do is take a picture of this little end, because that is very gorgeous. And then I need to find out where my little key is. May have lost it, guys. So I have, oh, I probably could have just used a straight up diz, whatever. That would have actually been better. Let me grab my diz. This guy is really helpful when you need to pick in and get fluff off the drum, but luckily my spinning wheel is nearby. So I am going to use the third from the end, setting on my little diz here. I think it should, roughly speaking, correspond to 2 ounces, but it didn't really work out that way. And hopefully that's not too much fiber for this. We'll start pulling this bad boy off. Everything seems to be coming off pretty cleanly off of the drum, so that's exciting. It's pulling nicely with the diz. though we are getting to sort of the thickest part of the bat right now. Then I can definitely see the layers of color that we've created here. We've definitely got a much more smooth blend of the merino alpaca. Polar silk was already really lovely. I'm now very curious to see how this is going to spin up. Definitely seeing a little straggler in there. What I'm trying to do is to get this to go nicely here. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay. Doesn't quite want to go. It gets very thin and delicate towards the end. Okay. I'm sorry that my internet seems to be tanking a little bit. We'll find out how terrible that is in the playback. Yeah, should be good. So I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.